And good morning. Welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Foster, and I'm touching base with you as I do every day. And today we are stepping it up. We're now on StreamYard. And so we have people here from LinkedIn and YouTube. So it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. I am so excited to be on all three platforms at one time. This is my first time doing it, so I'm excited. There's a learning curve for this, but I am excited about doing this. Also, we have our special guest coming on, Miss Peggy McCartha, and she's been in the business for a long time, 30 plus years of experience in the professional photography world. And guys, she's never worked for anyone in her life. She's been a business owner, entrepreneur all of her life. So I'm so excited to bring her on. I'm going to bring her on in just a moment. But guys, I just want to say thank you for coming on. Welcome to our Touch Base Daily Show. And I'm just going to bring her on because we need a lot of time with Peggy. So we're going to have Peggy on. We're not going to do any politics today, no other stuff, but this is all about Peggy. This is Peggy's hour. So we're going to have her on. I'm going to put her on, and here we go. And I'm gonna let her pop her on. There we go. And I think she's gonna come on. Hold on a second.
Yay!
Hey,
I'm pushing all the buttons over here. Yay!
We are on together, and I'm using StreamYard.
I am so excited to be on the breaking episode of the StreamYard technology with Ron.
This is breaking. You are the first interview of 2024. And I'm so excited that one is, first of all, my producer, Gwendolyn. She has helped me with this, and I'm so happy to have Gwendolyn help me with this, as in setting this all up. And she even sent us something to show.
Woo woo!
She said this is going to be a fire conversation. So anyway, so let's go. Let's get to it. So I'm gonna go right into it. Let me just get rid of that little guy, and I'm learning this whole thing. It feels so good to do this. Okay, here we go. And so my first thing I want to ask about you. Well, you know what? I'm gonna change it up just a little bit since I'm here a little early, and I got you on earlier. If you were stranded on an island, what food item must you have?
Wings.
Wings.
Wings. Literally.
What kind? Buffalo wings? What kind of wings?
Buffalo wings. Yeah. I don't like them super spicy. I'm kind of a wimp, but I do love my barbecue wings. It's almost a joke. Because of some health reasons, I'm normally on a really strict, diet, but everyone knows like that's my go-to. Like if I'm gonna go wild with my food, if I have an opportunity to eat something outside of it's gonna be wings every time.
Wings. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I think my thing would have to be pizza.
See, I was gonna say pizza's a close second, and having pizza with you, I would have to say that if I was stranded on an island, I would make sure Ron ordered the pizza.
And speaking of pizza, I mean, for those that don't know, you probably say, "How did Ron meet Peggy?" Well, I met Peggy through Gwendolyn. We met in the world of LinkedIn, and then out of I'm a big believer that social media is about being social. So what was good about that is we ended up chatting and talking, going back and forth. I learned about who she was. Gwendolyn was raving about her, and the next thing you know, we became friends. And next thing you know, she said, "I'm coming to New York, and then do you have time to hang out with us?" And she came to New York. I showed her around Washington Square Park, and we walked around and talked, and we had pizza.
We had pizza.
We went to have pizza, then went to a pub. We just had a great time. She and her husband. Her husband is an amazing guy, and we just had such a great time together.
It was really fun. I really believe in meeting people and actually, not just like connect with me on social media, but talk to me. Like if you're going to connect with me, like I want to know who you are. I want to follow your stuff. I want to know all the things. And
Hmm.
we tried to get to New York. We had tickets to go to New York. We were planning to be in New York March of 2020. Yes.
Ah.
So we were like, okay, well, clearly we're not going because, like, all flights shut down. Like, thank God we weren't there and, got stuck there. But it was right before we were ready to go. And then so many times we tried to go to New York as one thing or the other. And we were like, this is it. We're going to schedule this trip. And if we don't make it to New York, we're never trying to go to New York again. So we got there and you were the highlight of our trip. I mean, it was so fun to hang out with you. That was really fun.
Wow. I have one more question for you in this whole like get to know Peggy because I like this kind of stuff. Share 3 fun facts about you.
I hate this because I think I don't know, maybe I'm alone in this. I always think I'm boring. Okay. So one thing,
No, you're not boring, not at all.
I am terrified of Bigfoot. Bigfoot is a real thing in my life, and he follows me and haunts me all the time. Like I'll be
Bigfoot.
somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. Our kids who has our grandbaby, they live like 3 miles from a Bigfoot museum. I mean, it's stuff like that. Like it's always like where I am, there's some Bigfoot stuff going on. So Bigfoot's probably my biggest fear, that and then
Wow.
probably snakes after that.
So that's
Um,
one.
that's
What's
one.
number two?
I mean, like, I mean, I've done a lot of really cool things in my career just because I've had a camera in my hand. So
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't know. You want to hear some cool things that I've
Oh, I want
done?
to
Do you
hear.
want
I want
like
to hear one of
some?
your cool stories. Yes, and I'm sure people want to hear it too.
So, my kids are Navajo. I lived on the Navajo Indian Reservation for 12 years, and I had a studio there. I used to say I was the best photographer within 100 miles because I was the only photographer within 100
100
miles.
miles.
Anyway, but I got to take a photograph a Navajo traditional wedding. Now, that may not sound like a big deal, but cameras are normally not even allowed in the ceremony, and people
Mm,
that look like me are never
never there.
allowed in the ceremonies. So I like had to go through like a big thing with the medicine man to, make sure that I could photograph this wedding without stealing anyone's soul or causing any curses for them. So I thought it
Wow.
was kind of cool that I got to do that.
Wow.
Um,
Now that's cool.
yeah, because that's like not very many people get to do stuff like that. So I got that, and then another thing that happened on the reservation that was super cool was I think it was 2002, maybe one, but I think it was 2002. The movie Wind Talkers came out. Nicolas Cage, the Navajo Code
I
Talker
remember
movie.
that. Yes.
Well, they premiered it in the little bitty reservation town that I lived in. Again, only photographers. So guess who got to take that movie premiere? Now it was cool to see all the stars and all that because now I live in Los Angeles and that's who I work with on a daily basis. But back then it was kind of a novelty thing. But
Wow.
what was really cool about it was at that time there were still 15 living Navajo code talkers that were in World War II.
Mm,
And they were there, and to meet them and to hear all of their stories, because they kind of took all of their stories and made it into one character for the movie. So as we're watching the premiere, they'd say, "Oh, that was me," or "Oh, that was Joe," or that.
mm.
And it was just, and to see their wives who, men of that era didn't talk to their families about stuff anyway. So their wives, to see all this and like that happened, like was that was just to see that dynamic of these really old people like just getting super emotional, reliving something that had happened when they were young. It
Wow.
was probably one of the coolest positions I'd ever been in. Yeah.
Wow. I, I I've always wanted to go to an Indian reservation. I am always fascinated by Indian culture, Indian, the music, the ceremonies. It's just something that's totally fascinating to me. And I mean, obviously, my grandparents told us when we were young, "Oh, you're Indian." I found out through Ancestry.com. No, like 0.1% of them is Indian. But I've always been fascinated by the indigenous culture, how the reservation life, and it was just so fascinating. Let me just take a moment to thank some of the folks that are in here, because we usually do that in the morning. Hannah is in the building. Kelly is in the building. Jen is in the building. Brian Young is in the building. Lisa's in the building. Black Power Bunny is in the building. Oh my goodness, everybody's here. Elisa Mays is in the building. Lisa's saying, "Morning love. I went to a great restaurant the other day. You would love it." Oh, we're going to talk about that. What else is going on? Who else is in here? Karen Unthought Known is in the building. Daya's in the building. Paul is in the building. We got a good group in here. We got a good group. AWS37 is in the building. Sorry Lady is in the building. And I think, and Just Chris and Dom New 4642. Welcome everybody. Welcome on Instagram. I have to pan back and forth between Instagram and our stream yard. This is pretty cool. So let's get to it. My next question is, tell us about your career journey. How did you end up, like, you're the second person in my life to know, to meet, that has never worked for another person, but came out the gate as an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, a business owner. My one of We have a gentleman here. He lives in the neighborhood. He's a dog walker. I watched him since he was 16 years old, walking dogs. All of these years, now he has people that work under him that walk dogs throughout the whole Clinton Hill, Fort Greene, and wherever places he has. And it was fascinating. He was the only person I knew that never worked for anyone. And I was like, wow, that has to be incredible. But now I know Peggy. Peggy is another person that has never worked for anyone. And how did that happen?
Well, my parents are small business owners. My dad owned a business. He's an auto body mechanic, so he fixed your dents if you dented your car, but he also built show cars and painted show cars. He was really
Mhm.
well known in the Midwest, the kind of the go-to guy if you wanted to win a car show. So he was like, always ran that. And then on top of that, he owned a carpet cleaning business. On top of that, he owned the ambulance service for our county. I grew up in a very small town in the Midwest. And so my parents they always worked for themselves and had multiple things going on all of the time. So it was kind of normal for me to like, that was what was normal to me. Going to work, clocking in and coming home was something I had never seen. So to me, I think it was just kind of natural. I fell in love with photography when I was really young. I'm the
Mm.
third girl, and there's 9 and 11 years between me and my sister. So I was the oopsie, some may say, of the family. So my sisters were teenagers and running around doing things when I was still really small, and my sister and my uncle, actually a lot of people in my family were really into photography.
Mhm.
Even my grandparents, they did the slideshows, the slide photography, and every Christmas they'd pull the slide projector out, and we'd look at photographs. But so I kind of grew up around photography, and when I was 9, I was probably a little before my 9th birthday. When I was 8, for
Mhm.
Christmas, my brother-in-law gave me a little brownie camera, And I was
Wow.
just like, yes, my own, you know. And then when I was 10, I bought my first camera with babysitting and grass mowing money. And I bought my own Pentax K1000 with a flash and a zoom lens. So it was like, um, pretty exciting stuff. And people don't really understand now, but how it used to work back in the olden days, Ron, is you would get a roll of film.
Yes, I
You
remember
would
those
take the
roller films.
pictures, and then you would put that film in a package, and you would mail it away. And about a week later, you would get a package in the mail with all of your images in it. And it was like Christmas every time that package came in.
Every time, every time.
So you didn't know. It took a week to know if your pictures turned out. You didn't know until then. So I had a notebook and I would write down each picture I took. I would write down the settings that I used because these are all
Wow.
manual cameras, of course. And
Yes.
I'd write down all. Then when they came in, it was like I would sit down and I would look at the picture and look at the settings and okay, now I need to do this. And so and then when I got a little older, I took telling about this is some Midwest life here. But I took photography classes in the 4-H. If you don't know what 4-H is, you can Google it. Um, but yeah, so I took photography classes and I started winning awards. I won a state award when I was like 16 for a picture an image that I had taken in Guatemala. I spent the summer in Guatemala when I was 16. I got this
Wow.
amazing image of these two little kids sitting on the steps of and eating anyway. But that went all the way to state, and I was really proud of that. So obviously, like, okay, I love this, and people. I just always loved taking images of people.
Wow.
The other inspiration was National Geographic. Again, growing up in the middle of nowhere, that was my only little glimpse into the rest of the world and different cultures.
Wow.
So, as soon as I graduated from high school, I moved to Oklahoma and I interned with a photographer who was a really well known wedding
Wow.
photographer. Kevin Hurtelbrink was his name. Portraits by Kevin. And then I became Portraits by Peggy. I'm like so original with my naming, let me tell you.
That was you just follow suit.
And but he taught me not only uh the technical things, but he taught me a lot about the business of how to run a photography business. He had a very thriving high-end business. And and again, these are things you don't see. The way portrait studios were set up in
Mm,
the 70s, 80s, 90s are not really how they go now. But you would make an appointment, you would come into this beautiful building with
mm,
huge framed beautiful portraits all over the wall, leather bound um, photo albums on the coffee tables, and you would look at the photographer's work and you would wait for your time,
mhm.
and then you go back into the studio, which was like a magical wonderland. In my opinion, it was just like where all the magic happened, and I just loved it. And then my job when I first he he hired me to work 20 hours a week, and then the other 20 hours a week I didn't get paid. That was that was how my little deal worked. And but I
Wow.
would crop negatives. My first job in the studio was cropping negatives, and
Wow.
really learning composition and understanding that. Every single morning, he made us come in 15 minutes early, and we listened to 15 minutes of Zig Ziglar, and it
Oh my
was
god.
really he wanted the people that came into his studio to feel a certain way. And we were told that if ever any of his clients ever came to him and said that they saw us in the grocery store and we didn't greet them with their first name, that we would be fired. We had to
Really?
memorize everyone's name and be able to recognize them by sight. Like he did not, he
Mm,
wanted that feel for all of his clients to feel like, you know, they were the best thing in the world. And so, I've carried that over to my business. And I always try to, when we first got our smartphones, I what I would do is I would put little notes in the contacts. So every
Mhm.
single person that was in my studio, I'd put their kids' names, I would put their dogs' names, I would make a note of what we talked about
Wow.
last time. So when they would call, I would be like, "Hey, how's the dog doing?" Or "How's this?" I would be able to pull that up, because I would remember. I wouldn't remember, but I'd have my little cheat sheet
Yeah, your
on
cheat sheet.
the notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really, so kind of a combination of, growing up in a house with entrepreneurs, and then I would say Kevin really taught me the business side of photography.
Wow. So, yeah, I mean, so you can say that Kevin was a really amazing mentor.
A huge influence in my life, absolutely. I looked him
Wow.
up a few years ago, just
Mhm.
because I was like, I want to know what this guy's doing. He's no longer doing photography. He's retired, but it was really fun just to like, hey, I'm still out here. I'm still doing the thing.
Well, that you
So,
answered part of my question. I had another question for you. You have never worked for anyone else. Obviously, you had the internship, but how did you gain your business skills? So you spend a lot of time with Kevin. Kevin was definitely kind of like your He was your mentor, giving you influence. What were some of your outside resources? How did you like learn how to price your business, your photography? How did you learn what kind of clients you would have? How did you gain perspective of who is your target customer and all those things that we have to think about today as business owners?
a lot of mistakes, a lot of falling on my face, a lot of failures.
Mm,
Um, I would say that the first 15 years of my photography business, I was lucky enough to run a profitable hobby. I was
wow.
not running it like a business. I didn't understand enough. I mean, I understood enough to not go to jail. and, and I was lucky enough to really make, like, I made really good money, make with my photography.
Mhm.
But I'll tell you what really changed. It was about 15 years ago. It was common for me 15, 20 years ago to have invoices out where, I was owed at any given time. I would have like $3,000 in unpaid invoices laying around.
Wow.
That was just common practice. I was terrible about, like, give me the money. um, and I had a friend whose husband was a business coach, I guess, and he wanted me to do his headshots. So I said, "Oh yeah, I'd love to do his headshots." So he came into the studio. I took his images, and he never paid me. And I was
Mm.
like, I never, I was like, man, I don't know what's going on here. And about 2 weeks later, he was like, "Hey, I want to talk to you about something. Can we meet for coffee?" And I was like, you know, inside, I was like, he better be talking to me about paying me. But I was like, so I meet him for coffee and we talk. We have, conversation about that. And then at the end, he's like, I haven't paid you for those headshots. And I was like, yeah, yeah, I know. He goes, "Why is that?" And I was like, "I don't know. Why haven't you?" And he goes, "No, you're the business owner. Why haven't I?" And I
Mm.
looked at him and I was like, he was like, "Why did you take my pictures before you took my credit card?"
Ooh.
And I was like, he's like, "Are you running a business?" And I was like, "Er."
Holy moly. Ha ha ha.
And so the whole ploy, I think, in hindsight, I think he did need headshots, but I also think that he was watching me, like, you know, not running a decent business, and knowing
Yes.
that I wouldn't hire him as a coach because I didn't have any money, because I always had all these, things. And so I think he was trying to help his wife's friend out. And he taught me a really powerful lesson. He's like, "Why haven't I paid you?" And it was like, he was like, "You're running a business. I don't go into, we didn't come into Starbucks and get my
Mhm.
coffee and sit down and then them come over and look at us like, I wonder if they're going to pay us for the coffee. Like, we paid for the coffee long before we got our coffee." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." And he was
It's so
like,
true. I mean,
"Yeah,
a lot of times I had to learn that also, as in, when you have the business that I make sure that in all of my contracts or my invoices, you have to pay everything has to be paid 48 hours before the actual shoot day or the shoot time. Everything is paid for. Uh, because I had friends that were my mentors that mentioned how, they got they took the photos, they did the job, and no one paid them. And I was
yeah,
like, really, there are people out there that don't pay? you know, it's
yeah,
you don't think that you think everyone is like on this honor code of you work, they pay, you work, they pay. And I had to learn. I'm so glad I learned early on in my career because of my role models and my mentors and the people that will also complain to me and say, yo, it's been 2 years, I'm still waiting for this person to pay. And I'm
yeah,
like, 2 years? And they say, Ron, whenever you sign a contract, you send a contract out or an invoice to a client, make sure you have your conditions of the payment. So that way they have a deadline for the final payment, and then you do the job.
you have to
Because,
have your everything
yeah,
policies, your policies written down, because
yeah,
you're a business. Every business has policies in place, because that's what protects you, but it also protects your clients. I
yeah,
mean, we think that policies are just to protect us, but it's also to protect your clients, because now that your clients also know what to expect,
yes.
because not everyone knows what to expect when they go to a professional photographer. In fact, the
As a
majority of the people
most
do
There
not.
you go. The majority of people don't know what to expect. Most people have no clue of what it is to go to a professional photographer.
And they think that, and a lot of times I think that's why people don't get business, is because people don't know how to approach them, because they don't
Mm,
know. There was this, I don't know, about a year ago on TikTok. I'm telling you, every time, because I follow a lot of photographers, obviously, and every time I would open up my stream, it was like a photographer making fun of a client. Like, the TikTok was making fun of, this client didn't
mm,
pay me, this client was late, this client retouched my images with some filter, my client didn't give me credit. Like, it was just, and I was like, hilarious. Like, some of the creative ways that they told these stories were just, I mean, I was rolling. But then I made a reply kind of TikTok about how, you know what, I think you're hilarious and I relate 100%,
yes,
but I'm
yes,
not your ideal client. And you're out there making people that already don't know the policies feel like, oh, if I go to you, I might do something wrong and you're going to laugh at me, or I'm going to offend you,
which is
or I'm going to
horrible.
do it wrong. So you're literally telling people, you better not hire me because you're probably going to do it wrong. And
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
but the thing is also
I find your content hilarious because I
because
can
we're
relate.
in-house. I mean, you could do so I remember, and this is one of my jobs. I have to say, I learned this from, and I can say the Container Store was really good about their customer service.
Hmm.
And I can say that's one thing I really learned at being at that company is that we respected all of our clients. We respected all the customers. It wasn't. I have never. I mean, sometimes obviously we will see a customer that's a little off, and and we'll talk about it and kind of but never in a way that's demeaning
Hmm.
to that customer. Because again, your customer is your customer. You need to. A customer is a precious person.
Yeah.
A customer does not have to come back. A customer doesn't have to pay for your service. So it's almost like you really should be honoring your customer and really loving them and embracing them and being a part. Just kind of like, I just say, just love them and say, hey, this. And then when they don't understand, it's our job as business owners
Teach.
to educate them,
Mhm.
not to. I mean, I know our TikTok people are out there that are a little more raunchy in some circles, but I really do like trying to protect the client and making sure that we teach our client. One of the things, as it, because I also do interior design, when I walk my clients through the process, they're so happy. They're like,
Exactly.
wow, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about how that pattern is going to interact with that pattern or those colors. And you're telling me about the color wheel, or, they're just totally fascinated. And same thing with photography. You're talking about, in the morning, I want to take your photos because that's the best light. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, I
Educate
didn't think
them.
about that.
Make content that encourages them, like, highlight, like, something really cool that happened, or
Yeah.
something really cool that they like. um Praise good behavior, don't point
Yes.
out bad behavior, ignore the bad behavior. That's, you're not reward the good behavior, or take the bad behavior and turn it around to an educational, like, did you know that if you do this, we could, it's so much easier if you communicate with me ahead of time, blah blah blah, like, whatever it is. But put that in a way that you're educating them in a loving way where they feel
Yes.
comfortable, because a lot of times people are not going to pick up that phone and schedule an appointment with you because they feel weird. Like,
Yeah.
you've done that. There's been things you're like, I want to do that, but I don't want to be weird, so, like, I don't want to do it wrong. Like,
And people want
I mean,
to be welcomed, right? People want
yeah,
to
I don't
feel
feel welcome. I
welcomed.
don't know what to do. Like, I've walked into businesses and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's happening here, and no one's here. And so I turn around and leave. Well, that's what they're doing with your photography business, because
Yes.
you haven't told them how to hire you, how easy
Yes.
it is, how fun it is. Like, it's really cool to work with me. The funnest thing I can do, my if you ask me, what do you do for a hobby, or what do you do for enjoyment,
Mhm.
me in the studio and behind the camera is the most fun thing that I do.
Mm.
I've been doing this forever, so of course I have those moments where I'm not going to do this anymore, I'm done, and my husband just laughs at me. He's like, you are never alive more than you are alive behind the camera. You're never going to quit. And I was like, I know, but I'm mad right
'Cause,
now.
and why? Because we had this conversation before. We do what we love, and we love what we do.
Yeah.
That's that's my motto to everyone, is like, you know what? Love what you do and do what you love, because at the end of the day, it's going to bring you joy. It's going to be the ultimate joy because you are living in the center of your joy wheel. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
wow. I have another question for you. I have another question for you. And this is something really dear to your heart. Your passion for creating a community for photographers is inspiring. Tell us about TimeBenders. Before you go there, though, I want people to know why I posted this question. I met Peggy, and obviously through Gwendolyn, and Peggy's been inviting me to this TimeBenders environment for like months. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I was like, oh, well, you know what? I'll get there. 2 weeks ago, or was it? No, it was last week.
Last week.
Last week, I made my presence known. And I showed up. And what this place is Time Benders, is all these creatives are in the same space. It's like a WeWork. It's like a WeWork environment, virtual, and we all would gather, but we, as they like to say, I won't use the S word, but they say we get S done. We get things done. I have to have Gwendolyn come in to translate, but we get stuff done. And I got so much work done. Some of my goals were accomplished because I was in this environment. And Peggy has created this work environment for photographers and creatives. And so her passion of creating this room, if I could, I would take you through this, the look of it, because it's just amazing what she's done. Now, tell us about the Time Benders. How did your mind even take you from obviously doing your headshots, you're doing all the things you do as a photographer for 30 plus years, you have all this experience. What took you into this place of providing an environment for photographers to win?
Well, the pandemic.
The pandemic.
Um, I was, I'm in LA, so much like New York, we took the pandemic pretty serious. There was no contact with other humans for 9 months. I was the person in the mask, and went to the grocery store, and came home and disinfected my groceries before I put them away. Like, I was that person for a long period of time. But I found myself on Clubhouse and Instagram doing a lot of
Mhm,
consulting. Now, a little bit about my photography. I was a high-end portrait photographer for 27 years. I did weddings, families. My bread and butter was maternity, newborn, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and a year. I called it the Watch Me Grow program. And,
mm,
because once you get people into your studio 6 times in a year and a half, they're your clients for life. I have done newborn pictures. I have done their high school seniors, and now I am doing some of my babies' weddings. So,
wow.
so that's makes me very old and weird, but also I feel very honored that I've been these people's family photographers for their whole life.
Mm,
Um, so about 10 years ago, I started doing headshots, simply because people are consuming images different now. And I'm trying to find my place to continue my business. I'm trying to, where do I fit? Uncle Joe's doing family portraits. Where do I fit? And so I started
mhm,
doing headshots, which led me into doing actor headshots, which is a whole new game.
yes.
um, Actors didn't like my work. And I was like, are you kidding? These are beautiful portraits. And they're like, we don't need a beautiful portrait. We need a headshot. And I'm like, what in the name of God are you talking about? And my initial response was, don't work with actors.
Yeah.
My secondary response was, yeah, I took an acting class, a business acting class, to figure out what the heck was this headshot. Well,
Wait. You took a actor's class
I
so
did.
you could understand actors.
Ron, let me just tell you something. People will tell you, oh, Peggy, she's so humble, because I've heard them say it. And I'm like, I have the biggest ego in the world. I'm glad that I hide it well, and I'm glad that people perceive me as humble, because I really am. But when I had an actor come in and said, but my work was horrible,
Mhm,
and it really stung. I was like, nobody's told me everybody likes my stuff. Like, you come to me because I have a specific look that you like, and I give you that.
mhm,
So yeah, I did. I was like, it's not gonna fail. Like, I was really like, it was about a year of me like wrestling with, why do these actors think I'm bad at this? Like,
mm,
really good. I made really pretty pictures. The thing is, a headshot for an actor is the only way they're going to get a job. They have to catch the casting director's attention with this headshot.
yes.
Thousands of headshots, and you have to stand out. Casting directors maybe get 6,000 submissions, and they're going to pick 50 people for an
Mm,
audition. And out of those 50 people, maybe 5 or 10 are going to get a call back, and then one person is going to get the job. So that's how important a headshot is to an actor. It has
wow.
to portray a character. So
Mhm,
then when I realized that, I was like, let's dig into this. Like, what is it that makes it pop? And I did an interview show where I interviewed top industry professionals and casting directors and agents and managers to figure out what it is. And so I really got good at understanding the psychology of camera angles, lightings, and how to draw out emotions. I've always been good at getting people, to draw out their emotions. And
Yes.
so during the pandemic, I started doing consultations, and I was like, oh, wow, what I do with my clients in the studio could be a standalone thing. And Ron, the only thing I've ever done in my life that went viral was my headshot strategy session. People from all over the
Really?
world are doing this. We were getting on Zoom at the time, and I was going through, we were identifying, okay, let me backtrack a bit. Actors are like doing this with their headshots. We're like spending hours of time getting an actor to look like a powerful attorney. And then the next day I have an actual powerful attorney come into my studio and they're like, cheese. And I was like, what's going on here? We're missing it. So I started using the same things that I was using with my actors, with my corporate clients, my business clients, because
Yes.
we live in a digital driven world. Like your
Digital.
headshot, your picture, your profile picture, your branding images is what's going to attract your clients. So anyway, then I started doing that online, and they would take that information. They understood who their ideal clients were. They understood what um, what was going to draw them, what emotions they had to come be in front of the camera with. Hey, not just cheese and not I'm nervous, but hey, I am a badass and I'm going to get this, and really
Hmm.
bring that emotion to their sessions. And then people were like, do you know a photographer in my area? Do you know? And I was like, no, I don't know any photographers. And so I started actually talking to photographers and meeting photographers, thinking that I was going to be able to just like in an hour teach all the photographers what I know. And then I realized, our industry is really hurting. I thought I was the only one that didn't understand business, but
Mm.
no, we have a lot of amazing photographers with amazing talent that are not making any money, that cannot
Very
get
true. Very
consistent
true.
clients, that cannot get that can't make a living at what they're passionate about. And I was
Yes.
like, I'm going to fix this. I am going to bring all of these people together and we are going to fix this together. We're going to raise the bar because I don't like that Uncle Joe is our biggest competition.
Mm.
I have 35 years of professional experience and about
Yes.
8 years before that of amateur experience. And my
Yes.
biggest competition is Uncle Joe that bought a camera last week.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be like that.
Well, he's all of our competition.
Yeah,
Or
it
the person
shouldn't
that
be
picked
like
up a
that.
smartphone. Some people think, "Oh, I can just use the smartphone and I'm gonna have a beautiful headshot." I mean, you might get lucky and get a good headshot out of a smartphone, but technically you need a professional
Yeah.
photographer for your
Somebody
professional
that understands the psychology of photography, understands why you're going to shoot a little bit high or why you're going to shoot a little bit low or why you're
Yes,
going to have the light hit you here or why you're going to, you know,
yeah,
Uncle Joe may get lucky and get some great shots, but can you repeat that?
yes.
And so I was like, you know what? I don't want my industry that I love and I'm so passionate about to die. I want
Mm,
people to know the difference. Like, hey, Uncle Joe's great, but I also want the experience that happens when you go to a professional photographer. I want to go to a professional photographer and have this experience. And so I developed a program. It's a certification program. It's like 6 levels, 4 courses on each level. We talk about business processes, branding, marketing, networking, and then photography, up your
mm.
photography skills. And I couldn't sell it. Like I launched it and felt like, do I have a scar from falling on my face?
Wow, wow.
And I hired a business coach, and she said, "What is your ultimate goal?" And I said, "Well, I want people to go through my program, and then once they've gone through the program, I want to build this community where we can all support each other." And she's like, "No, Peggy, you're doing it backwards. Build the
Mm.
community first." And I was like, "Oh, duh, that makes sense."
I remember you mentioning that to me, right? Build the community first.
And
That's a lot of truth.
it has been the most amazing process to meet so many talented, like there are some photographers in my community that I'm like, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time and their work is fire. I'm like a little
Mhm.
intimidated. It's like some good stuff. But you know what? We all have our own styles. We all have
Mhm.
our own unique personalities. And
Mhm.
I'm so tired of this industry thinking that we're each other's competition because we're not.
Yes. Yes.
My client is not your client. I live in Los Angeles, Ron. There's 4 million people here. There's
That's
probably
right.
1,000 photographers on my skill level here.
Mhm.
We still 1,000 of us, 4 million people. Like that's we're not each
A
other's
lot of people.
competition. We're colleagues and we should help each other. And we
Yes.
should, hey, you like doing that? I hate doing that. Here, let me send my this client. This client was, coming to me. Let me send him to you. And we should work together. And we should do, I mean, think about an industry where, oh man, all these professional photographers are shining and they're all succeeding.
Yes.
And guess what? If we're all doing good, we can start all charging more. Let's
Yeah, 'cause we're all yes.
we don't have to
Yes.
cut each other's prices and be like, oh, well, she's charging this much. I'm going to charge that much. It's like, no, charge more. Pull each other up together. Don't push each other down. Like
I'm a
that's really
big
the goal.
advocate. My community has heard me say it over and over and over again. They probably say, you are just a repeating record. But I am a believer that the people in your field are your greatest assets
Yes.
because you see the world in your industry from one point of view, but they see it from another point of view. But now if both of you put your views together,
And you
you're
start seeing
both
the
going to
bigger
be
picture.
twice as better than you were not being together. And
Absolutely.
we need each other in the industry. I think that's one of the things that when I met you, I was like, oh my gosh, she's my sister from another mother. I mean, it's just like we are very passionate about networking and connecting people and being there for others. And it's if we could get more people in the world to be there for others, it would be a better world. And so, time benders. Now, like I said, for those that have not been there, I mean, you have to go there. It's just an amazing place, especially if you're a photographer. But it's a place for creators. So I met some. I mean, for those that don't know, there was one of our colleagues, one of the people in our community, Miss G. She had a person from named RJ from that our community. Time benders. I'm saying our community.
Hey, this is your community. You can
and,
absolutely
and,
say our
and
community.
and she was talking about AI yesterday. And I tell you, I was like blown away. It was riveting. And I was telling G, I said, yo, you're I mean, you had like 22 people like in your feed looking and listening. And the reason why they couldn't leave, because RJ was like dropping gems. Like, I mean, it was just incredible. So how do people become part of time benders? What do they have to do to become time benders? How do they contact you and all that good stuff?
Well, first of all, it's not just me because I believe that if in order for you to succeed, um, your definition of success is different than my definition of success. So maybe what I have for you is not going to help you all the way. So
Hmm.
we have a team, we call it the Empowerment Ensemble, and it is Gwendolyn, you all already love and know, RJ, and another person called Aisala. And we're your empowerment team. Like you come, and if I don't know the answer, somebody else in this team is going to know, and we are
Hmm.
all here to help you. But the first step is to schedule a call with me and just come hang out, take a tour. um, the time benders, it's time benders with an S and then
Hmm.
space So spelled out TimeBendersSpace.com. You just log in with your email, and you can just come in and walk around, look around,
Yeah.
and check it out. Schedule. If you don't have an appointment with me, there's a little bot there that you can click, and it'll text message me. If I'm not with a client, I'll pop over. But if I don't pop over, you can schedule an appointment right there through that. Or you can go to headshotstrategist.com/let's chat. And that gives you all of my connection, my calendar. Get on the calendar, come hang out, check it out, see if it's a fit for
Mm.
you. We have workshops monthly. We have get shit done sessions. See, Ron, it flows off my tongue. I don't even have to.
Get it done.
We have get shit done sessions at least every other week. Sometimes we pile extra ones in there. And a workshop is more like you're learning the thing, but the get shit done sessions, you're doing it. Like
It's
you
so
come,
good. It was
like
so good.
Ron needed a calendar, and we were like, get this now, and we set it up, and by the end of it you'll have something accomplished. And if I'm not teaching it, somebody else that's really good at that thing, whether it's an automation, whether it's getting your profit and loss statement, whether it's, I mean, the list goes on and on. Updating your website, getting a social media calendar ready, like. But we walk in, we all have one person that's already succeeded at that and is good at it,
Yes.
walk us through, and we do it in real time. So at the end of that session,
Mm.
you have accomplished that thing. You can check it off of your list. It is done. Um,
And it
but yeah,
was.
we
Last
have
week was
co-working, we
ugh,
have editing spaces.
yes.
The platform, it's a Go Brunch platform. It's very interactive. It's video based. We can embed things that you can all have your own experiences. So you can listen to a playlist and it doesn't affect anyone else in the room. We have work timers in case you're like me and you like to chat and you're like, okay, for the next 24 minutes, we're gonna work. No
Yes.
talking.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a fun space.
Wow.
So get on my calendar, come check it out. Pop in without getting on my calendar and walk around and see what you think. There's QR codes in almost every room. If you see a
Yeah.
QR code, click on it. It'll get big, and then scan it, and it'll tell you
Yes.
what we do in each room. So you
It
can
is
kind of take a self tour. Yeah.
it is a virtual like I said, I've gone to lots in New York City. We have what's called WeWorks. A lot of them are shut down now because of, financial
Mm.
problems. But when they were at their peak in New York City, you could just go into these amazing designed places with sofas and areas to kind of like chat and little spaces, nooks, and all that stuff. They've put this in Time Benders platform. I mean, literally, there's rooms that you can just hide away in and meet your clients and talk to it, and just have a leave the group that's in the main room, and then the two of you pair off and go somewhere else and chat it up. I
It,
got so much done last week, and then yesterday we were all together again, and I was like, we got stuff done, and I can't tell you how refreshing it was to be with other creatives, and that everyone you begin to learn what everyone is strong at, and
mhm.
then everyone in the room is not greedy. No one's holding on to their information. Everyone's trying to make everyone better.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful space. So
We
the
don't
one
need
thought, now we
gatekeepers.
have to go. Unfortunately, you know Peggy and I, Peggy and I could
Hours,
talk for hours, literally
hours.
hours.
Add
Peggy,
G
what
into the
would be
mix
your
and
last
just cancel a weekend.
thought? What would you want to leave with everyone? What's your last thought you would like to leave with everyone as we close out?
Um, Follow your dream. I know that sounds cliche, but do it. Like,
Mhm.
Ron was on my podcast. My podcast is pre-recorded, so it's dropping next month. I normally don't pre-talk about podcasts, but Ron said something that is going to stick with me forever, and that is, if they say no, let that be your yes to yourself. And sometimes
Mhm.
circumstances look like, no, I can't do this. I don't know how I can do this. Ask a different question. How can I do it? What do I
Mhm.
need to do? Who do I need to talk to? come talk to us because we
That's
want you to
right.
succeed. We want you to like live your dream and be happy and make lots of money. Like it's okay to make lots of money.
Wow. Also, so we got about 4 minutes. If there's anyone that has any question, I know we have a lot of folks in the Instagram chat box here, comment boxes here. If you have any questions, make sure we don't have the little circle guy, but you can put it in the comments and just put it in the comments your question, and then I'll ask Peggy the comment your question, and before we head on out of here. But it's so good to see Eldridge is in the building, Tuscany Blue is in the building, Arlisa Mays is in the building, Miss Bespoke is in the building, Two Diva for You is in the building, Fifi is in the building, Kimmy's in the building, oh, Rashawn is in the building, Ormy Robinson is in the building. So good to see all you guys. Trish, just this is in the building. And Chrissy, thank you for all the you've been sharing so much, so many beautiful words here that I've been posting here. More people should understand that there is more than enough work to go around for everyone, she says. Chrissy also says your headshot is the first thing that clients see, and it can make a difference in how you are perceived. Oh,
A
Chrissy's laying
hundred
down some
percent.
gems.
A
Chrissy's
hundred
laying down some
percent.
gems. And who else is in here? But yeah, Charlene's in the building. Bryson's in the building. Seiku's in the building. Yeah, man. Rambo, all the way from India, is in the building. Yes, it's so good to see you, Rambo. And obviously our Black Power Bunny's in the building as well. And Bestie is in the building. How you doing, Bestie? I didn't get to say hello earlier as you popped in. And I think we got everybody. Any questions? Any questions for Peggy, real quick? You got any real fast ones? All okay. So you know how we do at the end. If you enjoyed this moment with Peggy, please put the thumbs up in the comment box. If you or your little hearts, little thumbs, so we know that you learned something. Because you know how we feel about our community is that we are believers of we leave smarter than we arrive. Are you leaving smarter than you arrived today? Let us know. I see T Tuggle has the thumbs up. He has lots of thumbs up. Rashawn has lots of thumbs up. Paul has thumbs up. Charlene has thumbs up. Christy has thumbs up. Classic Jims has thumbs up and hearts. And beautiful reflection. Hey, beautiful reflections. I miss you. Good to see you here. Yeah, if you learned something, put it up there. Rambo, I'm good. Yeah, Rambo in here. Tuscany Blue sends lots of hearts. Vibrant Tanya, she's just joined. How you doing? Thank you. This was great sales. All me, Robinson. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to kind of end this little baby. I don't know. Do I end Instagram first or do I end this one first? But this was our first StreamYard being on three platforms at one time, and we had our first guest of 2024,
Woo-woo.
Peggy McCartha. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
Ron, it was an honor for real. I love hanging out with you, and thank you for allowing me to be your first Streamyard guest.
Oh, this was wonderful. And guys, again, if you have any questions, here's the information here. Make sure if you want to contact Peggy. If you are a photographer, I'm really putting this out to us, the photographers, but also creatives. But if you are a photographer, I I I want to pull your strings, your coattails, or whatever, and say, pop into our our space, our time benders, because I think you would profit, and I think you would learn. I think you will grow. Like I said, I'm on my second week finally making it after being invited for all these months. And these 2 weeks, I've gotten so much done in the last 2 weeks. Look, this is a product of me being in this great community. So, guys, I would have sent that invitation out. Peggy already sent the invitation to you guys. Come out, touch base with her, and we'll grow from there. Peggy, thank you so much. Thank you, audience. Thank you, everyone. I do have banners now. Look, I'm going to do something that I've never done before. Watch this. Watch this. It's going to come up on the screen. Look at that. Yo! Join. We have our join our Patreon community. We have a Patreon community class coming up tomorrow. For those that are in our Patreon community, we are talking f stops. F stops are talk. That's what we talk about tomorrow. So if you are in the Patreon community, please RSVP so we know who's coming. If you are not a part of our Patreon community, just go to patreon.com/Ron Lewis Photos, and you can go straight there. It says it right here. And also, thank you for tuning in to Touch Base Daily, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you, Peggy. Mwah.